Well, welcome back, everyone. It's been a little while, and that's mostly thanks to Mother Nature. She really has not been cooperating lately. But even today, it's supposed to have a high of, I think, 8 or 9 degrees above zero. So I'm not going to go outside and play. But I do still have a few components for the sawmill that I can work on here in a nice, warm, heated garage. And I say nice and warm because I think we're up to about 52 degrees now here, so it'll get warmer throughout the day. But anyhow, our first project today, we have these 4 cinch bolts. I'm going to call them cinch bolts for the husk. They're just really long rods or bolts. The end that was not covered by the station wagon roof, this end here, the threads got really deteriorated over the years, and I opted for an option of grinding down some tapers and replacing the ends of all 4 of these rods. Probably cheaper, maybe not easier, but it's just, I made the executive decision, that's what we're going to do. I got 4 new, I don't know, grade 5 nuts or whatever those are. So, that's our first part of the project today. We have a bunch of feline assistance, and not really complaining about that one single bit. But let's get started on this. Feel free to comment on my welding. I fully recognize I am not a very competent welder. It's one of those skills that I'm still learning, and I probably will be still learning for most of my life. But as long as I can make these 2 stick together, I'm going to be fairly happy. Got them stuck. Half the battle. And we got to fill it a little bit more than that, I think. Well, we'll get that ground flush on the bench grinder, and I think we'll be good to go. I'm not going to bore you with these other 3. I mean, you've seen one, you kind of know what the plan is at this point. So, bring you back after we get them all ready to go. Well, our next project are these pulleys for the cable and the brackets to hold the pulleys. Now, when I excavated this, essentially, there were no metal components whatsoever besides bolts that came through here to hold this in place. This goes right here. So I was a little bit baffled that whatever had held this, as far as the bearing surface goes, had to have been made from wood, which is a little bit strange to me. Like, doesn't seem like a good idea, but obviously it worked. Now, my brain says I should get some roller bearings to fit this shaft, and then make a bracket that bolts to this, and that would last forever, because this being up is going to protect this from any sort of weather to begin with, and eventually we should have a roof over this mill anyway. But I've really been tormenting myself with this decision for a while, in that I'm just curious how that worked. A wood block with a hole drilled in it. To the extent that I think that's what I'm going to try, mostly for curiosity's sake. Because I'm not doing anything permanent here that can't later be done with the correct, roller bearings and... So it's just, it's got my curiosity kind of piqued, and that's what I want to try with these. So, originally, I was thinking that the block had been on the inside here, which I'm sure we could do. But I went back and watched the video from the very first day when I disassembled this, and it was pretty apparent that this was on this side. So these bolt to the insides of the two main frame rails that we have in place now. And then this bolts here. I'm a little bit torn on, I had originally been thinking I would just put a wooden block here with a hole in it for a bearing surface. And then it's like, if it's only bolted on here, that's not good. We need this wooden block to go all the way across for stability purposes and attach to those two main rails. I don't know the exact spacing between the rails offhand. And I'm not at the farm where I can just walk down there and measure it. But we know that this is really close. I'm guessing within a half inch or so. So these three are longer than that. So what I'm thinking today is I'm going to turn these three into one piece with a hole in the middle for the bearing surface. And we're going to leave it longer than necessary so I can trim it down to fit once I bring all of these components back down to the farm. We can even go so far today as to attach this bracket to this once we've laminated them all together. So let's do that then, shall we? Enough talking, let's get to work. I don't know why our Gorilla Glue has got to be so tough. It was in the house where it was nice and warm, but it is several years old now. It was opened at some point. I don't remember what I used it for. I bet this will still work though. Okay. Tighten it up, dummy. Could use wood glue if I was at the farm. I don't know even how much of that is left. I don't think we used the whole thing yet. That's gonna have to be good enough for now. Yeah. Oh, you big dummy. We can finally do a little bit of a test fit here with our pulley. That's nice. I think that's going to be really nice. But let's get it back out of there. I'm going to hit this with the wire brush. There's one more step that I would like to do here. And it may be kind of a strange idea. It may not even be a good idea. I don't know. But I would like to drill a grease passageway to each of those wooden bearing surfaces. Y'all, some idea what I'm doing here. We hit one of our screws. That's okay. Try this again. Yeah, it's threading in there pretty nice. There we go. I'm going to call this one B. And this one A. Because I had each of these pulleys marked, and I have each of these metal brackets also marked with A and B, so that I can Not that it matters, but that way I can keep track of where they came from and put them back on the same side. So I'm going to go ahead and get both of these shafts cleaned up. On this is B, and then on the A pulley also, I'll get them with the wire brush and bring you back. There. So we have decided that this is block B with pulley B and bracket B. And before we go snugging that in there, figure, well, it can't hurt. Just give it a light coat of grease. Probably not going to make much difference, but not going to hurt anything. Yeah. This is probably, hopefully, the last time we'll ever see that. There we go. So, now here on the bottom, we'll just start a bolt back in here. Put a little grease on him. With the last one. Different than the other one, but it's okay. How are we doing here? Get a little bit of room left. So our final project of today, I'm going to finish making these brackets. These essentially are what holds, this will attach to the post that's sunk in the ground. These will attach to the main frame rail of the mill. So I've got them all marked out here. So I just got a whole bunch of drilling and cutting to do. So let's get her done. Well, we're up to about 64 degrees in here. It's not bad for just running old box elder and popple and whatnot through the stove. I hate wasting any good firewood out here in the shop. When I'm here the whole time, I can shovel in as often as necessary. So, anyhow, see if Grandpa's jigsaw still jigs. Well, we got our brackets finished. Not real exciting, but it's the next step that has to be done. And now we're done. So we'll put those in the pile that goes back down to the farm next weekend. I'm kind of running short on time. I was hoping to tear into this. I know there's a name for it, and I'm sure somebody will throw it in the comments. Otherwise, I got to do a little digging. As far as how much attention I need to give this thing, I mean, it's a blade guide. The blade goes in between here. Yeah, we'll see. I got some heating to do to loosen up some bolts and probably get rid of these old beat up things. So anyway, it's we got some work to do on this thing, but that's gonna have to be for another day. And I do have another batch of goodies down at the farm that I can bring home to work on here in the heat. But that's probably gonna be the last batch of parts that I can do indoors. So, looking at the long range forecast, they're saying it's going to warm up by next weekend into the 20s, if not even 30s. So, with that in mind, I'll definitely be outdoors playing. And hopefully, putting in some of these pieces that we cleaned up and got squared away today. There we have it. A whole bunch of goodies all lined up, ready to go back down to the farm. Everything here is ready to be installed, and I have one little sneak peek at what's coming up in our next video. Some of you probably already know what this is. Look at that. We are now going to be able to start seaming together some belts, but I have to have this done at least by June. Because friend of the channel, Tractor Dr. Chuck, he needs it back before baling season starts. I said, that will not be a problem. Anyhow, him loaning me that saved this project several $100s, because those tools for some reason are not cheap, and it doesn't not look all that complicated. But anyhow, I'm awfully glad to have that on loan for the time being. Yep, there's our feline assistant, Edith. Hi. Yeah, you know you want attention, don't you? Yeah. Can you say, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging in there this far, and I look forward to Mother Nature letting this project pick up a little bit more speed, because I know it's been slow lately. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you all next time.